Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships, one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, friends.
Hello. And guys, I feel like this might be something we all do, but I just had another case of it happen this week. When somebody offers you something that seems kind of intriguing in terms of an item, like
drugs?
Drugs, yes. That's what I'm trying to say, drugs.
Okay.
No, meanings for like some kind of TV setup or computer setup, and you just immediately take it and don't realize that you probably have no room for it. I say all this to say I now own 2 bookshelf Bose speakers that I do not have the wires or receiver for. I don't know why. They're just sitting in my apartment now because a coworker said, I have these speakers. You want them? They're free. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't know. That's just a thing that happened to me today. They were way bigger than I was expecting, but I was too far in to say no.
Sure.
At that point.
You have bookends now.
Yes, I have bookends.
No one ever offers me anything cool. They always offer me like really shitty things. Like, do you mind picking me up from the airport? Or can you help me do something? It's never just giving me things.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if someone did that.
Yeah, I got to keep remembering that I live in a 1-bedroom apartment and not a house like the two of you.
Yeah, you should get a waterbed.
Ooh, bring it back, dude.
Yeah, I should bring it back. I got to check my lease to make sure they're not against my lease.
Yeah.
But even if it is, who cares? Be a rebel.
Yeah. Maybe the popularity of waterbeds has like fallen off so much that they took it out. It's like, we don't need to put this in there.
That's true. I also live on the ground floor, so I would really only flood my apartment.
Yeah, there you go.
Pops. So yeah.
Now
I think we're on to something, guys.
You have to find someone who's going to give you the waterbed for free.
Yes. That'll be the next thing. Do you have a box spring or frame for it? No. I'll figure that out.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know how waterbeds work. Do you need a box frame?
No, it defeats the purpose.
Right.
You're supposed to just sleep on the water. Yeah.
That sounds terrible, by the way.
Maybe that's why they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Only on that one episode of Growing Pains where Mike gets one in his apartment above the garage.
And does hilarity ensue, or I don't
hilarity,
know.
Of course, ensues. Man, it's Growing Pains.
Right. I love it. Hell yeah. Growing Pains humor for the kids.
Yeah, you guys remember Growing Pains.
Is that the one with the dad? That's Alan Thicke, right? Growing Pains?
Yeah, Robin Thicke's
dad. Okay, because
I'm sure Alan Thicke would love to be referred to as that now.
Yeah, well, he's dead.
He's
dead.
Yeah.
So probably, I'd much rather be known as Robin Thicke's dad than dead.
So, Mark, pretend I'm Alan Thicke and refer to me as Robin Thicke's dad.
Oh wait, aren't you Robin Thicke's dad?
Holy shit, I'm alive. What am I doing here?
There you go.
Now, that's a bit, folks. That's a bit.
But we are talking about this week's movie. And this week was my pick. And you know what? I wanted to switch it up a little bit. We've been leaning heavily in the action genre this past few months. And looking at the schedule, it's not changing anytime soon. So I really wanted to kind of change things. And what haven't we done ever or in a long time? Can't decide which one. Was an erotic thriller from the 90s. And now I spent a good amount of time trying to find the right one. And I picked one for a couple of reasons. One, because it was directed by a director we have covered 2 of his movies, 2 very different movies besides this one. Jim Wynorski, director of such films as Chopping Mall and Munchie. 2 movies we've covered.
I know Munchie.
Yep. Second reason was because this stars Midge from that 70s show, Tanya Roberts.
Tanya Roberts, yes.
And third is because it also stars the director of The Notebook, Nick Cassavetes, who's also the son of famed director John Cassavetes.
Nepo baby.
Yeah, his mom is Gina Rollins, too, who was also in The Notebook. There you go. So you want to tie that one together.
Why didn't he make The Notebook more like Sins of Desire?
That's a good question. We will never know. So Nick Cassavetes is the director of She's So Lovely, which I think is like some sort of romantic comedy. John Q, The Notebook, Alpha Dog, My Sister's Keeper, and The Other Woman, the Cameron Diaz vehicle. The Cameron Diaz, Kate Upton, Leslie Mann vehicle. So this guy has directed a whole bunch of movies.
Yeah.
And he got his start, apparently, in this erotic thriller. And I'm using that term loosely because this is essentially a softcore porn.
Yeah.
But the movie we're watching, long story short, is the 1993 film Sins of Desire. So, gentlemen, I would want to know, where are you coming from with Sins of Desire? Dan.
Well, guys, I'll have you know, I only masturbated 3 times to this movie.
So that's why we needed to start the podcast late.
And that's why I'm so tired. No, I was trying to explain this. I have family over, and Anthony was kind enough to say, don't watch this in front of your sister. So yeah, I have family over, and I was explaining, I have to record the podcast tonight. So they asked, what are you recording? And I said, this is some movie called Sins of Desire. Like an erotic thriller. I'm like, well, what's an erotic thriller? Yeah, it's, like Basic Instinct. There's like a femme fatale kind of thing going on and just boatloads of nudity. So I was in the mindset for that. I was not in the mindset for how, like, the absolute worst reasons I've ever seen for people to get naked on a film ever. The sex scenes in this come out of nowhere. They're ill-timed. Like, the movie starts with one.
Yep.
It just, bam, there it is. And you don't know what's going on. There's no context in it. We were making fun of it, and you were making fun of it. This is basically softcore porn. Softcore porns have better storylines than this movie.
Sure.
I was lost. I didn't know. I got the basic plot of it, but I had a hard time connecting the dots as to what they were trying to do and how they were getting around it. I don't know. I think this was just the reason to have naked women dancing in front of overweight guys.
Yeah, it's a scene that happens and is way too long.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. And did anyone... I'm assuming this was the director's choice to tell Tanya Roberts, don't wear bras whenever you're wearing a sheer top. Bras are the enemy in this movie.
He definitely has a type, doesn't he?
Yes, he certainly does. But I will say, I want to visit this doctor's office ASAP, because it exclusively caters to just like 10s.
Yeah, right.
That's all that wander the halls of this doctor's office. But yeah, this movie is bananas. I'm torn on whether I liked it or not. It's a terrible story, but boobs.
Right, yeah. It delivers on what you're expecting.
100%. You get your money's worth if you paid for it. And also, this is the one time that I am very happy that a movie did not hang dong. Because
close.
It was close, thank God they didn't. Because there is not an attractive looking guy in this movie.
Oh, we got like 3, right? We've got Nick Cassavetes.
Yep.
The aforementioned. We've got middle-aged John Henry Richardson.
Yep.
And then we got Jan Michael Vincent, B-movie star, who looks like Tony from Die Hard. Carl's brother.
Is that Warren?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought for a split second, I was like, is that Roddy Piper? Just for a split second. And John Henry Richardson, the guy who plays Dr. Scott Callister, he looks like an older Ed Helms.
Sure. Yeah.
So we got.
I can see it.
Yeah. I've seen that dude in lawyer commercials.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, like, have you been injured in an accident?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of what he's fit for, really. Because no one knows how to kiss in this movie. It's a mess.
Yeah.
He's just terrible at it. He really took advantage of his sex scenes, though.
Yes, he did.
He was getting a mouthful of these women. These poor women.
I feel like he's in a bunch of Jim Wynorski movies. They must be friends.
Yeah, probably throwing him a bone or whatever, right?
Yeah. Also, like the score, Chuck Serino, who also had a great score from Chopping Mall. He does the score for this movie.
Oh, interesting. So I wonder if he just likes working with the same people, obviously.
Yeah, he's probably like, I don't have a lot of money for this movie. You want to throw something together real quick?
Yeah. How much could this have possibly cost?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's got to be less than $1 million, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah. There's no point in making it if it's not cheap.
Right. Although those like electromagnetic balls don't, they're not cheap, man.
Sharper image, arm and a leg.
Yep. They really got your balls in a vice.
All right. Mark, where are you coming from? Sins of Desire.
Yeah, so at first I was worried if I picked the right movie because of the way it starts. I'm like, is there like a knockoff of this movie that is just a straight softcore porn? Then I found out, no, the actual movie is just that. The only thing in this movie that I could not follow is I don't know exactly what the end goal of the doctors was, unless that they were scam doctors. That's the only thing I can put together is that they're not really doing anything, just trying to take money and have sex. When they mentioned about becoming televangelists, I'm like, oh, maybe they're not real doctors. But until that point, they don't give you any hint that that's what's going on. The rest of it's pretty simple and easy to follow in terms of, two people looking to get revenge on the doctors because, someone close to them died because of their treatment. I couldn't understand if the difference in treatment, why the women were having a reaction was whatever he was doing with that sharper image electromagnetic ball.
I think he was just raping them.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they're having a bad experience.
But what, did he drug them or was it hypnosis?
Yes, it was drugging.
Okay.
Being drugged. I think that's the one thing that they say that they have evidence for during the recording.
Okay.
Is drugging. Okay. Yeah. I got to say, MVP actor is the HVC repairman.
What a weird character.
Comes out covered in what looks like fire extinguisher foam and goes, there's Freon everywhere. And I'm like, I don't know much about Freon, but I don't think it sticks to you like foam. But they had to show it somehow. I love how he's just like, come down and see it. Like she's going to be able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to get out of my head with some of these movies when it's not like high-end thrillers to just see the directors and writers make the strangest choices. When he gets all hurt, why is her first thought, let's go back to the doctor's office to heal you up? There's not like CVS's or Rite Aids or whatever, not thinking they could get caught. All those stupid decisions. And you're kind of like, oh, okay, I got to remember it's contrived. They got to be there so that they can have this fun scene where they show up and just lead to a moment where two of the actresses have sex. That's all that scene was driving towards.
That's all every scene drives towards.
Yeah, they had two of them back to back, which actually made me laugh out loud. When they have the one where they have celebratory sex after setting the guy on fire. After that, and then literally, I think it was like 5 minutes later, it's Nick Cassavetes and Tanya Roberts are having sex.
That's one of the worst reasons, right?
Yeah.
She has a nightmare, and he's like, "Oh, it's okay," and they just start doing it.
Yeah. Like it's literally within 5 to 10 minutes of each other. Those two scenes. So you get what you pay for, as Dan said. But I do got to give it up to the acting of Nick Cassavetes doing the hopping for no reason.
Oh my God. The choice to hobble your lead actor halfway through the movie is incredible. Now you got to hop around for the rest of the film.
I 100% guarantee they worked backwards in that, like, oh, he's got to fall on the floor at the office to see the tape recorder. All right, how do we do that? Let's see. He would have to be like hopping or like stumbling. All right. Well, okay. Well, how'd they get to the office where the thing was? Okay. Maybe he got hurt and they need medicine and they just work backwards to him. That guy wildly shooting an Uzi into a hotel room and then only clipping his ankle.
Another movie that has, for some inexplicable reason, an Uzi introduced.
I was thinking there's a possibility that Nick Cassavetes halfway through shooting is like, oh shit, I got a skiing accident, broke my foot. This guy's like, fuck, how are we gonna get through? How are we gonna write this in? Well, you can't use crutches, but you're gonna hop around. That's how we're gonna do it.
It was just wild. And then just the leaps of logic. Again, I had to get out of my own head where why does the one blonde woman trust Tanya Roberts' character without question after just meeting her?
Sure.
You just met this woman. She just got hired, came in, and then she's just randomly in your office going through your Rolodex.
Just trying to get into her pants.
I was going to say because she wants to bang her.
Yeah. She's sticking with the little head.
Yeah.
Like if she was a guy, you would understand it.
A little bit.
Right.
I get it both ways.
Oh yeah. As do I. But Mark is here watching a porn and is like, I bet she's got money to pay that pizza man.
You can't get your lapse of logic past me.
The TV was just unplugged, lady. What's the big deal?
Yeah. It's like, man. Well, she could totally get out of that dryer. How are you stuck? That makes no sense.
That woman never orders meat on her pizza.
It's just giving her like all these Pornhub videos, like 1.5 stars with legitimate reviews.
I think that's a real thing, to be honest with you.
Those Samsungs have a release switch so your arm can't get caught. How did they know that?
Clearly that opening is big enough.
Yeah.
One last thing. I think my favorite thing is from set design and all that wise is that I don't know if you guys caught this or maybe it looks like they each drive the same car or close to it.
They're very similar.
So it seems like they only had this is the two we have that we can get for free from the junkyard. So
it's probably someone's car that works on the film.
Yeah.
Like just bring your car.
That nice van with that cheap stenciling for the AC repair unit.
I forgot about that. I wrote that down to mention it. I'm just not looking at my notes. Oh, yes. It's just like last minute.
Yeah, this movie is 100% do it yourself.
Yeah. Yep. Just like going, should we do it in just marker or would that just look like a child molester van? No, we'll go with paper. Paper will look classier.
Yeah. As for me, this was the movie I was expecting. So I really can't fault it for being that movie. Like I said, wanted to cover a 90s direct-to-video erotic thriller and probably, as I mentioned, closer to softcore porn. I think movies like Disclosure or Basic Instinct, Sliver probably earn the title of erotic thriller more than this movie does. But you know what? It's so bad and exactly the movie I was expecting. That's really all I can say. Delivered on the tits and the ass, delivered on the ridiculous, stupid plot. Yeah, it just was bad. I like the music in all the sex scenes. Reminded me of You Are My Rose in The Room. You are my rose, you are my rose, you are my rose. And I think that's actually one of the girls that's dancing for the fat guy. I believe is singing all those songs. Becky LeBeau, I believe, is the credited singer on.
The lyrics are nonsense. It's like I'm gonna be your shotgun of love or something like that. I'm like, what is going on here?
Oh, by the way, one of Nick Cassavetes' acting roles is the role of Adonis Papadopoulos in the film Farticus.
Oh,
okay.
So there you go. He's also in Face Off.
So Oscar-worthy movies. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only the best for him.
But Barry Mitchum, Sins of Desire.
Do you think there's a good chance that one of our dads watched this movie?
Probably.
Right? Like this was on just late night.
This is Cinemax. Yeah, it's Cinemax After Dark.
Yeah. Like it's a bad visual, obviously, but there's a good chance this was viewed by one of our dads.
Yep. One of those first years that they had cable. Like, oh man, what is this movie that they're playing on this late?
Hey now.
Is that Tanya Roberts from Charlie's Angels? Or from Sheena, the Beastmaster?
Oh, is she in the Beastmaster?
She's in Sheena, and she's also in the Beastmaster.
Oh, that makes sense too.
And A View to a Kill.
Yeah, this movie definitely was up someone's alley.
Yeah. Also, R.I.P. Tanya Roberts. She died 2021.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah.
I knew she looked familiar because she had that raspy voice. I was like, man, that sounds so familiar.
She was Donna's mom in that 70s show for 81 episodes.
Yeah. That's what they call a series regular.
There we go. Yeah.
I learned that just the other day.
Yeah. But yeah, all the women look like absolute dimes in this film. So can't take that away. Delivered what it promises.
When are we going to get back to that, Ant? When are we going to get back to movies that just have nothing but tens?
I don't know.
You know, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's like Jim Wynorski's got to be doing movies. It's like, I am fascinated by these directors like Jim Wynorski, and I think Fred Olen we've covered, I think did Invisible Dad, that have just had so many careers in these like low budget direct to videos or direct to streaming, I guess at this point, where they hop around from like low budgets, sci-fi with lots of tits and lots of ass, horror movies with lots of tits, lots of ass. Then they'll do erotic thrillers or softcore porn, and then they'll have Christmas movies from that Lifetime or Hallmark Channel does, or children's movies like Munchie and Invisible Dad. I find it fascinating that these guys have created this sort of world and have survived on these like probably week-long jobs that they hop from film to film and just just cranking them out. I'm picking up his
and then directing films.
Yeah, and then making it to the big times. Yeah,
it's like Jim Wynorski does this. He does A Doggone Christmas, and Shark Babes, Scared Topless, Sexapede, Hypnotica, and then Pleasure Spa, Piranaconda,
Banshees of Inisherin,
Busty Coeds versus Lusty Cheerleaders. Maybe we could put that on the list one day.
It's insane. Like, can you name another director nowadays that's gone? The only person I could think of who's done schlock and then graduated is like James Gunn.
Right. Yeah, this is kind of like the world that James Gunn was playing in, and then he got started making some real money. But like Jim Wynorski's got Witches of Breastwick 2 on his IMDb. He's under pseudonyms for all of these things when he does Busty Cops 2 as Harold Blueberry, but it's him. I just find this fascinating. And how do I get into the Jim Wynorski game?
Like, imagine Kevin Feige calling up Jim Wynorski, like, listen, we need someone to direct the X-Men. You're our guy.
Yeah.
How many X's in that?
Right.
Have you seen my work on the Bear Wench project?
Listen, I saw you directed The Lost Empire. You're the guy that we need. No one could pull it off like you.
Yeah. That's the dream. So, again, yeah.
Why can't we get that kind of luck?
I don't know. Fred Olen is another guy like this. Fred Olen, which we've covered. We said Invisible Dad. I think they're friends. I think they like wind up in each other's movies too. But he's doing a Royal Christmas Engagement, One Fine Christmas, and then like Ghosts in a Teeny Bikini or whatever. Busty Housewives of Beverly Hills, Dirty Blondes from Beyond, The Teeny Weeny Bikini Squad. All these classic Skinamax films. Again, I'm 100%. We got to bring these back.
Yeah,
somebody's got to bring these back. There's a niche for this.
There has to be. But
Housewives from Another World. Mm-hmm.
It's just one more thing the libs took from us.
Right? This is Joe Biden's America, everybody. There is no Skinamax.
Right. Jim Wynorski doesn't exist anymore in Joe Biden's America.
Look, we know for a fact, if there is one president in our lifetime, or like in the history of presidents, that would be behind bringing Skinamax back, Donald J. Trump.
Jim Wynorski's very good guy, very smart, knows how to direct.
He'd want to be on set for all of them.
Yeah.
And try and fuck the stars and then give them hush money. Allegedly. Nothing has been, he's not been convicted yet, but maybe if you're listening to this in the future.
Right. He would call them stupid if they didn't like sleep with him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Tanya Roberts, super dumb. She didn't hang out with me.
Yeah. He's on the set of the Fred Olen classic Baby Dolls Behind Bars, trying to pick up Jay-Z Berlin or Jenna Presley. Yeah.
So what you're saying is we need to make Skinamax great again.
100%.
Yeah. I'm on board. Where do we start the rally?
I guess probably at Jim Wynorski's house.
I think he would be more surprised than anybody.
Yeah, maybe Vancouver while Fred Olen is directing the sequel to Dognapped: Hound for the Holidays.
You would think in the year 2023 we would have moved past these movies, the need for these movies, but they're still out there. There's a niche market, like you said.
Do you think it's just a money laundering scheme?
Some of it might be. Right. We're making so much. We got to dump some into this. We'll make a production studio.
Right. Because like Dognapped: Hound for the Holidays are like these children's movies that these guys wind up making. It's like there's no need. There's no call for these movies, like talking dog movies.
No.
It's like these kids aren't watching them. Kids are watching Bluey 1,000 times or whatever.
Peppa Pig.
Yeah. They're not watching Abner the Invisible Dog.
No. Yeah, it's got to be the money laundering. Like back to the truck productions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whose dick David DeLuise is sucking to keep himself gainfully employed, but it must be somebody's.
Yeah, I don't know who these movies are for. You're right. It makes no sense. I guess for pervs, like these kind of movies, not the kids' movies. I'm hoping. Well,
I get the market and the appeal for softcore porn.
Sure.
You know, I was 15 with a cable box and not a computer in my room, so I get it.
Man, it's painful that there are people that will never feel that way. Well, they'll never understand that pain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is this guy talking about? I got that shit everywhere.
Yeah. Now you got phones. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, man, when we were growing up, when we were going through puberty, it wasn't as easy.
No,
you got to look at porn on the family computer. You have any idea how Mission Impossible that is?
You had to work for that one, man.
Good Lord. The stars had to align just to have the whole house to yourself with the family computer.
Right. You had to hope no one made a phone call.
Nobody made a phone call. Oh, God forbid, like you wound up getting like some sort of pop-up block, those pop-ups.
Man,
2000s were a wild time for pop-ups that would just pop up when you weren't even like looking at anything. All of a sudden, what's this porn pop-up that just came on my computer?
Yep.
And now I have to try and figure out how to get rid of that before my parents are coming home at 4:30.
So yeah, think about as a kid, you think you're smart, right? Every kid thinks they're smart. They could pull one over. We were incredibly dumb.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we were so slick, like, oh, they'll never know. But I didn't know that you could erase your history. Yep. I had no clue about that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure when my dad went to type in something and something completely different popped up.
The autocomplete was not your friend.
It still is not your friend.
Private browsing was not a thing.
Yep, no private browsing. Dial-up modem. You had to pray like 30-minute videos. You'd be there all day.
Yeah. You got 12-second videos at 280p, and you were happy you got that.
You're right. That made your day. Oh, the new so-and-so. It just dropped.
Got 8 seconds of Brianna Banks sucking a dick.
That's a good pull. Good pull. Now you can see why I masturbated 3 times to this movie.
Just brought you back, right?
Oh, to the good old days.
So the good old days when you could masturbate 3 times in one day.
Well, to be honest with you, it does remind me of those days because, again, with Tanya Roberts, when she was wearing that sheer top, I was trying to squint. Like, is she not wearing a bra? Is she? It's so hard to tell.
It felt like you're watching scrambled porn.
Yeah. So again, I had to work for it.
I think I see a boob there.
Yeah. I pray none of my family listen to this one.
It's gonna be the one episode my dad listens to.
Sins of Desire. I remember that one.
So, Sins of Desire, directed by Jim Wynorski, as we mentioned. We've already gone through it, but we've talked about Chopping Mall and we've talked about Munchie already. Stars Gail Thackeray, John Henry Richardson, Delia Shepard, Tanya Roberts, Carrie Stevens, Nick Cassavetes, Pamela Pond, Gina Wilson, Lou Bonacci, Jan Michael Vincent, Becky LeBeau, and Monique Parent. IMDb score of 4.0, and there is absolutely no Rotten Tomatoes review at all. Not an audience, not a reviewer.
No one wants to admit they've seen this movie.
Nope. Well, we might be the only people that will ever admit this on on the internet.
It says here that it opened up in Turkey.
That was the release date in Turkey, yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing for the US, nothing for the States.
I'm assuming this is direct to video.
I guess so. Right, because it was filmed in LA, so.
Yeah, not surprising, as the finale is shot on an abandoned, quote unquote, an abandoned set. So they could, so they didn't need to buy anything. They didn't need to set it anywhere.
It was guerrilla filmmaking.
It's like, we'll stomp around this set that we have, and we'll work it into the story.
James Cameron would be proud.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder the audiences in Turkey must have had a field day. They must have loved this.
He shot this back to back with Munchie. Munchie was 92. This was the next movie he did.
Do you think he was getting sets confused? Like, all right, Munchie, in this scene, you're gonna take your top off and you're gonna go down. Oh, sorry, wrong movie. Scratch that.
Probably.
We got to get Dom DeLuise talking about going down on someone.
You guys wanted to get into this plot?
Oh, I can't wait.
All right, Dan, what do you got for us?
All right, guys. On a serious note, go check out the Game Vault Pod. It's a bi-weekly podcast covering video games, video game news, old school video games, games that the hosts are playing. It's a very fun podcast. You could catch them on all socials at Game Vault Pod, and they also stream on Twitch at Game Vault Pod. So go check them out. They do their retro roulette. It's a lot of fun. If you like old school video games, that's the stream and the podcast for you. And also, please go check out the Top 10 with Tia. She's a good friend of the podcast. Go to geekvibesnation.com, search Top 10 with Tia, and you'll be able to check out all of her podcasts. So please go give them both a listen. They're both great.
Okay, great. And we are going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Steve.
And this is Adam.
And we're part of the Hop Nation USA podcast,
Pittsburgh's #3 craft beer podcast.
Join us every Friday for new beer reviews.
We'll talk about the news, history, and homebrewing.
Plus, we'll sit down with the best brewers and industry personalities that'll have us.
So whether you're a casual drinker, a hazy boy hophead,
or even if you're a whale hunting cellar hoarder,
just search Hop Nation USA on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher and join the nation.
Oh, hi, didn't see you there. It's me, George, from the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least. We've talked about groundbreaking classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien, but we've also got a lot of great ones coming up, including some very fun guests like Len Kabaczynski of Swamp Zombies and Red Letter Media fame, Caroline Williams, the star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Chase Williamson from John Dies at the End. So make sure you're subscribed to the best little horror house in Philly, and I'll see you boils and ghouls over there.
And welcome back. Now it's time to get in plot 4, Sins of Desire. We open on some freaky sex between a woman, a middle-aged man, and some epilepsy-inducing lights. And at one point, she turns into a skeleton, screams, and then passes out.
I forgot about that.
Right? She turns into a skeleton for a split second.
Why?
I don't know. She does the Daniel Stern in Home Alone 2.
Yeah. What was the point of that?
I don't know. She's having her weird dream.
It's never brought up again, and it's never referenced again.
Nope.
Does this make him like a person who has sex with dead people?
He might.
Yeah, well, he likes at least passed out, so it's probably not far from it.
Yeah.
And it's actually all a dream, and the woman, Monica, wakes up in a hospital bed, and the middle-aged man is actually her doctor. Says that they had a good session, and that she came out of it a little earlier than expected. And she tries to remember what she was dreaming about, and then realizes that her clothes are undone. So she starts accusing the doctor, Scott, of taking advantage of her while she was under, and he tries to calm her down, and she starts to freak out.
Yeah, the first thing I thought when the scene started was I was like, why is her gown on backwards?
Yeah, it was just her shirt was just wide open.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's not a gown. Okay. I was like, did someone on set not know how to put like hospital gowns on people?
I thought the same thing. Like, man, that's not really covering anything.
Yeah. He gets more and more aggressive until he loses his grip on her, and she winds up hitting her head on a table. She has like 0 constitution. She's just like immediately just dead.
I guess she was drugged.
Yeah.
So she wasn't in the best state of mind, possibly.
I guess so. That moment, Scott's wife walks in, with a very blasé attitude, checks Monica and announces that she's dead. Scott tries to say it was because she came out of the procedure too early, but his wife knows that it's because he can't control himself and he's going to blow the whole operation if he's not careful. So she tells him to bring the body around back and she'll bring the car around. And then drive the body to an abandoned studio where no one will find it, and also to save on production costs later in the film. Meanwhile, Tanya Roberts is trying to console her sister, who is in deep depression on the couch. Tanya Roberts, who's playing Kay, mentions that maybe they can call her sister's psychiatrist or therapist, and her sister freaks out. So they both go to take naps, and when Kay is asleep, her sister walks right into traffic. And credits.
That Jeep that hit her had plenty of time to stop.
Yeah, and it also hit both the brakes and the gas at the same time.
Yeah. They didn't know if they wanted to do this or stop. Yeah. You know what? Today's the day I finally kill someone.
We come out of credits and Scott is having some kinky sex with his wife, who's tied to the bed, but then the phone rings. He answers it, and the guy on the other end doesn't say who it is, he just says he's coming over. So Scott leaves his wife tied up and gets dressed. Goes to work at the Callister Institute and notices a red car parked outside with a guy watching him with binoculars.
You would think this guy has to be the worst private detective ever. Mm-hmm. What kind of car should I get to lay low while watching people?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sports car.
Bright red sports car.
He then he goes walking through the Institute looking for someone. Meanwhile, a woman bathes herself and then gets interrupted by Jessica coming on to her. Apparently, this is a patient at the Institute, and this isn't the first time that Jessica has tried to come on to the girl. She storms out, and Scott comes in and tells Jessica that there's guys watching the Institute, goes outside and walks over to the car, and it immediately drives away. Scott goes back inside and says that maybe it's time to put an end to this clinic because it's getting too hot. But Jessica says she doesn't want to go back to boring regular doctor stuff. They then get a call on the intercom that the new nurse will be coming in that day for her first day of work. Scott gets annoyed because the other nurse is quitting because of Jessica's advances towards her. Scott says that she should stay away from the new nurse, but Jessica says not until she sees what the new nurse looks like. She's a predator just as much as Scott is.
Yeah.
Maybe even worse.
No, absolutely. I mean, as they mentioned in the scene, at least Jessica's victims aren't dead at the end.
That's a good point.
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah. Touche.
Touche, Jessica.
Touche. Not a murderer.
But she's essentially, she's just going to hit on anyone who comes through that door. Like it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. She's going to try to bang whoever comes into that office.
Yeah. If she was a man, you would describe her as a walking hard-on.
Yeah.
At home, Kay is having dreams about her sister's accident when she's awoken by a phone call. The Institute where she's starting work, and she asked to come in on that afternoon to start. She says sure, then hangs up and then picks up the phone and gives a call to a detective. She meets the detective at the park where he dresses like Eddie Valiant from Roger Rabbit. She tells him that one step of her plan is in place, and he says that he can't really help her, but just be careful.
I didn't even think of that until you just said it.
Yeah, it's like generic detective wear.
And this is the scene where Tanya Roberts isn't wearing a bra. She's meeting with a private detective.
Yeah.
At least, cover up a little bit.
Maybe she misunderstood private dick.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what it was. She was very disappointed when she was walking to the park bench. Like, oh, that's what that means. Never mind.
The bras weren't in the budget. As we can tell, as we tell from every woman in this film.
I bet all the women were like, well, I'll just bring my own. Absolutely not. There's a strict no bra policy on set.
Yeah.
Anyone caught wearing a bra will be sent home.
Yeah. I mean, Jessica walks into every scene tits first.
Oh, absolutely.
So Kay goes to the Institute and she meets with Scott. He introduces himself and then sees a mysterious man in the waiting room. So he pawns her off on the desk attendee and brings the guy into his office. In his office, he refers to the man as Warren, and Warren says he's being followed and he thinks his phone is being tapped. Scott says that this is what they want to do to make him feel paranoid, and Warren says that they are on to him. Back at the front, Kay meets up with Rachel, who starts showing her around. And in the office, Scott pours himself a drink and starts asking him about Warren's suspicions, mentions that Warren was supposed to be out of the country. Scott asks Warren if the people he's seen following him ever flashed a badge. Warren says no, so Scott said that's good. They can handle anyone that aren't police. Meanwhile, Rachel shows Kay a patient session in progress, which is a couple of women dancing around and stripping for a guy as some sort of electricity pulses around in an effort to cure his impotency. This was pre-Viagra days, so I guess they were desperate.
Yeah, and it seems like the guy on the bed does not care that nothing is happening down there. He seems to be having the time of his life.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, go for it. I think I know where you're going with it.
Yeah. So Rachel tells Kay this guy gets cured every week and then comes back every week.
Oh, okay.
So he's not impotent. He's just getting his fuck on. And why wouldn't you? Like,
Rachel even says that.
He's going to this institute that's supplying him with 2 women that are having sex with him every week. It's not a bad gig for this guy.
Why can't the doctors see that? Or do they see it and they don't care?
I don't think they care.
And they don't care if he's paying money. I don't think they care.
Sure.
Yeah, they're quacks. I mean, they do mention they don't want to go back to like the boring medical stuff. But I would also just say they're probably not real doctors.
Probably a good bet.
Because at the end of it, they're already talking about their next scheme, whether it's televangelism or politics, right? So it just would make a lot more sense that they're not doctors. They've forged their way into this world, and they're just using it for their own sexual gratification. And if they get a few people off on there, that's just fine too.
Okay.
I don't know where they get these women that are willingly having sex with this guy, though. Like,
That's
are they
the other thing.
nurses? Are they nurses or are they prostitutes?
Well, according to one of the nurses, it's above board. So it's like, it's not a scam. It's all legit. So these women have to be willing.
But like, would Kay have to fuck dudes?
Yeah,
she's getting a job there, right?
Yeah, that would be because she asks her friend asks her about it. Like, are you sure this isn't like too much for you? Like, no, I've done worse. Done worse? What have you done worse? I want to see that story.
UrbanDictionary.com defines. No.
But that's a good question. The 2 women dancing for the fat guy. Yeah. Were they specifically picked for him, or did he pick them, and they just kind of have to do the job? At first, I thought this was like a hypnotherapy kind of thing. Like they're not real, but no, those women were really there. It wasn't a trick.
Yeah, they seemed to not be. They weren't. They were game for what they were doing. Dancing around for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, full frontal too.
Yeah,
was not expecting that.
So they're trying to cure his impotency, and being able to see this does seem like some sort of privacy violation. But I guess we're already established that the institute isn't exactly the most professional establishment. And Kay says, "Hey, this sounds like prostitution." And Rachel is like, "Well, yeah, kind of." And then Jessica finishes the session and finds out from the front desk that the attendee says that the AC guy won't be able to come until the weekend, and she says, "Okay, she'll be here," which is a very important detail. Yeah. In this stupid fucking plot. And then Rachel introduces Jessica to Kay, then hands over the keys to Kay, and then she leaves. Jessica goes in to see Scott and sees Warren, who calls her Butch, which I didn't see.
I don't see that. Yeah, I don't get that.
I mean, I guess she has some bisexual tendencies, but she is anything but Butch.
Yeah, that doesn't make you Butch.
I mean, if you took the way she was described in the book, and that's...
Right, yeah. That's what it comes down to. Just the adaptation isn't as good as it could have been.
Yeah, it's usually the way it is.
And then Jessica is like, what the hell is he doing here? And they mention that a red sports car has been following Warren as well. Kay leaves the institute and drives home and gets followed by the same red sports car. She gets home and the driver of the car pulls up and approaches her and asks if he can ask her a few questions. She checks his ID and it turns out his name is Barry. Says he's investigating the disappearance of Monica, who was a patient at the institute. So she brings him inside and gets him a beer and asks him to start at the top. So Barry goes into the story. Warren bought himself an insurance policy that named Scott and Jessica as sole beneficiaries, then stepped in front of a train 10 days later. 4 months later, Warren is ID'd in Vegas, and now that insurance company is pissed. Monica was Barry's partner in the investigation. She posed as a patient investigating the Callisters while he was investigating Warren in Vegas. Says that Monica thought she uncovered the fact that the Callisters were molesting their patients and planned to record her next session, and then she disappeared. Barry wants to find the tape and wants Kay to help him get access to the Institute. So she says she can't help him, but he says to call her if she changes her mind. And meanwhile, the Callisters are back at the house, and Warren is there. when they get a call from Kay. Kay basically tells them everything about her meeting with Barry, who he is, what he is asked about, specifically about Monica. She gives them the address that Barry told her he was staying at. Jessica says that they have a friend at the police department and will look into it.
Yeah, my thought here is until they, I still don't know the motivation here for her to sort of rat out the private investigator when she's trying to investigate them as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She says she wants to keep them occupied while she goes and sneaks into the institute.
Okay.
Yeah. It's flimsy.
Yeah. That was the one thing I couldn't tie together.
Yeah.
Because when she does it, I'm like, isn't she also? And then they show her sneaking in, and I'm like, okay, I guess this works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she wants to make sure that they're occupied while she's like doing her little skulking around mission.
She almost gets them killed.
Yeah.
That's one little thing that she overlooked in that plan of hers.
Yep. And Scott gives Warren a gun, and the Callisters tell him to deal with the problem. Warren is nervous, saying he's never handled a gun before, and what if he misses? So they give him an Uzi that is just lying around and send him off in his truck as they follow to the hotel.
I thought they were going to give him a shotgun.
Right.
That would make
a
more
lot more
sense.
sense.
Right, like, oh, you know, because he says, oh, what if I miss? Like, oh, if you're afraid of missing, use this. And they give him an even more unwieldy gun in an Uzi.
Yeah.
That's just going to spray all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I thought there's a shotgun hanging on the wall right behind Warren. It's like, oh, they'll give him that. Nope, they just decided to give him a random Uzi. Everyone had Uzis back in the 90s. Yeah. Abraxas had one. Or the cops had one.
The cop had one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kay is sneaking in the institute in typical sneaking around black and a ridiculous hat.
This scene is ridiculous. It even got the cat.
Yes, the cat that gets thrown.
Yeah,
by someone off screen.
Because she enters the room. There was nowhere where that cat could have jumped off of at that height. So someone literally threw the cat in her face.
Why is there a cat in the sex institute?
It's never seen again.
It's never seen again. No one checks in on that cat on the weekends.
Maybe it's just a stray. Like, oh yeah, that's Tabby. She just kind of hangs around the institute.
Someone's got to scoop that litter box.
That's what Tanya Roberts was probably hired for.
Right. At the Valley Motel, Barry is hanging around watching old cavalry movies, according to the sound design. Then goes to the vending machine to get some snacks, but it's out of order, as the owner mentions, who thinks he's the snack, according to that lip bite.
Big time.
Yeah. Then Warren pulls up with his Uzi that he's pretty close to shooting his own face off a few times. And the Callisters pull up too in their car and wait as they watch Warren approach Barry's door. Barry notices his doorknob jingles, so he reaches for his gun. Just then Warren kicks in the door and just unloads into the room. Barry ducks behind the bed as Warren sprays indiscriminately. He lands a single shot into Barry's leg, and Barry returns fire and hits Warren in the stomach. So after the fire, Scott asks Warren if he killed him. Warren says he doesn't think so. So Scott piles Warren into the truck and they drive off. Kay continues to search the institute and find the file of her sister in Scott's office and leaves. Meanwhile, Jessica and Scott bring Warren to a cliff, then drive his truck off a cliff with a gas can inside with him still in it, and the car goes off the cliff and explodes. Then they go home and fuck right in front of the fire.
I was rolling on my couch from the moment they send the car down the hill until the end of the sex scene. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous moment in the movie.
Yeah. I think they made a fire and then fucked.
Yeah.
It was immediate cut. Right?
Yep.
It cut from the explosion to them banging.
Yeah, cross dissolve into fucking.
Nothing gets them hotter.
Yep.
We just committed murder. Let's fuck.
I mean, for a married couple, they do seem to have a very healthy sex life.
They do. And honestly, I've never murdered anyone, so I can't tell you if it would be a turn on or not.
Yeah. It's a very progressive relationship, right? They have an open relationship.
Right. They're both very comfortable talking about being with different people.
Mm-hmm. And they're still fucking each other's brains out too.
Yeah. So I think they could have probably just done all this without the murdering and the raping.
Yeah. It seems like they probably could have just found a nice swinging club, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe in the 90s it wasn't too easy to find swinging couples. So that they had to resort to this long con of setting up a sex institute in order to feel up unsuspecting women.
Yeah. It was more taboo, I guess, in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes Wide Shut hadn't come out just yet.
Yeah. Still 5 years away.
Yeah. It was a simpler time.
Yep. Kay goes home and Barry's waiting for her, calling her a traitor and also bleeding on her couch. Says that she was setting him up and sent the Callisters after him. And she says that they killed her sister and she just needed to get them out away from the Institute so she could sneak and find the file.
He was pointing his gun away from saying snitches get stitches.
While she helps bandage him up, she tells the story of her sister, saying that she got really depressed after a breakup and wouldn't let herself get close to anyone afterwards. So she wanted to occupy the Callisters so she could sneak into the Institute to steal the sister's files, but didn't intend for Barry to get hurt. Then she insists that he stays on her couch to recover, and he relents. At night, Kay has nightmares of Monica getting hit by a car. Barry wakes her up and comforts her, and then they fuck for a solid 3 minutes.
Too much time.
It's a long sex scene.
And it was boring.
Yeah. Like, I think that's what separates, like, the erotic thriller from a softcore porn, is just the length of the sex scenes. 3 minutes is, like, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's always the same things, right? You can't get too adventurous with these movies.
Yeah.
So every time you have a sex scene, it's always going to be a certain number of positions that you get.
Yeah.
So
and it's usually mostly like just naked making out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But you'll see boobs.
Yep.
That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
It would be better if they just walked across the screen naked for 3 minutes. Like, yep, here it is. Take a look. Oh, I'm wearing clothes. No, I'm not wearing clothes. Okay, see ya. Next scene.
In the morning, they head to the Institute to quote-unquote sneak in broad daylight because no one is there on the weekends. And they're there to try and find the tape recorder left by Monica. I'm surprised this Institute doesn't have cameras. Yeah. I'm assuming they do, though.
And also, as high tech and, the type of business they have, I don't know how they wouldn't have, like, tracking on who turns off the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Or when the alarm was turned off.
Yeah.
And go, wait a second.
Right.
I guess looks like this was turned off while we were out killing that guy.
Exactly.
Oh, well.
So they sneak around back with Barry hopping along the entire way and they head inside. Meanwhile, Jessica is leaving the house to head over to the Institute to meet with the AC repairman. Kay and Barry head to the medical supply closet to get him some painkillers for his bullet wound. Kay shoots him in the butt with a needle. And then Jessica shows up and is confused to see a car in the driveway. But then the AC repairman shows up with his seasonal allergies, sneezing all over himself and Jessica, which never really plays a part in anything.
I think that actor just had a cold, so they played it into the script.
Just a weird little quirk.
Yeah,
this is funny.
Yeah, we can't hire anybody else, so let's work this guy's cold into the movie.
I don't really even know what his point is in this film. Like, the only point is that she's supposed to be there on the weekend. But, like, you've written this part. Like, no one would really question it if you didn't specifically write out all this stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's also that when he pops up from the basement just as she's about to walk in where, Nick Cavetis is.
Yeah, I just think there's contrivances and there's this. It's like, you can walk around this, like, hiding in plain sight sort of thing that Nick Cassavetes is doing in this third act scene or the end of the second act scene. It was like, doesn't need this fourth person here, right?
Yeah.
You could have a whole bunch of near misses without this fourth character.
Can I rewind a little bit? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm confused as to why Nick Cassavetes and Tanya Roberts become a thing. Why do they become a couple?
Because they fucked.
Because they fuck.
Is that the only reason?
And I guess they're bonding over trying to get the Callisters.
Okay. Because at one point I remember he shows up to her house asking her questions. The next he gets shot, he shows up back to her house saying, "Hey, why did you rat me out?" And the next thing you know, they're banging.
Yep.
So I was like, did I miss something? Do they have a past together or something? But no, it's just, you're hot, let me get in there. Let me do my thing. And then that's it. That's all the character development we get there.
She's hot. He's 6'4",
200 pounds, blue eyes.
Yeah. It's really, what more do you need?
I wouldn't know.
I mean, I feel like a lot of hot people have gotten together for less.
Sure. That's a good point. That's some people's whole identity right there. I'm 6'4".
It's true. Jessica sends him down to the basement to look at the AC unit and then begins a tedious sequence of scenes as Kay runs into Jessica as she's searching through the office looking for the tape and has to play it off like she's there to get herself acquainted with the office. All the while, Barry is trying to avoid being seen while he's also trying to find a tape. This all culminates in Barry finding the tape recorder on the floor in the exam room in the same exact spot Monica dropped it 4 months ago. And it's just right there for anybody to find.
How does there's no cleaning service that would come in?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With all the molestation going on, you would think that there'd be somebody cleaning up.
Right. You got to scrub that place down, man.
Yeah.
Get in there real good.
While Jessica convinces Kay to have some passionate over the see-through bodysuit lesbian sex in one of the sex rooms. After Barry gets the recorder, he waits for Kay to finish having sex with Jessica. Then she comes out and they get out of there. They go back to Kay's house and they play the tape, and it doesn't really implicate the Callisters in Monica's death, but it does prove that they were molesting their patients. Kay says she has an idea on how to try and get evidence of Monica's death. Back at the Callisters, Scott is trying to convince Jessica that the next scam should be televangelism, while Jessica thinks she could make a good senator. And they get a phone call, and it's Kay saying that Barry busted down her door, saying that he found Monica's body and that he's going to go to the police. So they decide that they're going to find out if he really does know where the body is, and then they're going to take care of him. But what they don't know is that Kay has also gotten the detective to tag along on the sting, and they follow the Callisters to the drop location. When they get to the location, the abandoned studio, the detective flips the police lights on his car, which foils the plans of the Callisters, who were just planning on killing Barry. Kay also reveals that her sister was a patient of theirs. Then Scott calls her sister a bitch, and a fight breaks out. Jessica knocks out the detective, and Scott beats the shit out of Scott with Scott beats the shit out of Barry with a flashlight. Kay goes running, and the Callisters chase after her. Kay and Jessica get into a good old-fashioned fist fight as they roll around on a fake grass set, and then Scott accidentally shoots Jessica in what would have been the luckiest shot ever if he succeeded. So then he chases after Kay through a bunch of sets. There's a whole bunch of running, hiding, sounds of footsteps until Kay somehow finds a car and runs over Scott. Then she gets out of the car, looks over his body, and then just walks away. And that is the end of Sins of Desire. Not a particularly satisfying ending.
I was going to say, I kind of checked out at the end because it decided it wanted to become a thriller, and it didn't fit. It would have been better if it was just a straight up, the detective shows up with them, like, oh, you're foiled, we got all the evidence we need, you guys are done, case closed, nice and neat. You didn't need to have a big brawl break out. I was actually kind of hoping a big gangbang would have broken out or something. like we're all here, let's do this.
There's only one way to solve this.
Right.
Fucking.
That's the purest way.
Yep. That's it. It fulfilled the want I had of covering a movie like this.
Well, I'm glad it helped you out.
Yeah. Got me off there. Right?
There you go. Scratch that itch.
Scratch that itch. But that is Sins of Desire, and we have one more segment left. So, but before that, we're going to take a quick break so you guys can listen to some ads so we can pay those bills. We will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into this third segment. And I really didn't know what to do about this in relation to this film. I had some ideas. Well, one of the things I wanted to do is this the title of an erotic thriller or Prince song? And I couldn't find enough Prince songs to make that something. So did something a little similar, but a little different. So if you don't know, the kind of queen of 90s direct-to-video erotic thrillers was none other than Mrs. Gene Simmons' Shannon Tweed. And then who was the queen of hardcore pornography in the 90s? Jenna Jameson. So I have Shannon Tweed film or Jenna Jameson film. I have 10 films here.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage here. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like you're singling me out here.
All right. Yeah. So I have 10 films here. This might be right up Dan's alley. And that is the reason why I was trying to find prints. But through searching, I couldn't come away with 5 good ones. So, but we're going to play this. And I think this, again, Mark, you are more than welcome to test your knowledge of this. But here we go. First one.
I don't think I've ever heard of a Jenna Jameson movie. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I'll let you know. She was an adult film star in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah. She was also a star of Private Parts.
Oh, the Private Parts girl. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right, the first one is called Indecent Behavior 3.
Decent Behavior 3. Mark, do you wanna go first?
I'll do it as I'll steal from Dan.
You want to steal from me?
Yeah, like you get first guess.
Okay, so what was it called? Indecent Proposal 3?
Indecent Behavior 3.
I'm going to say that's a Tweed movie.
Okay.
Yeah. My thought was it's a Jenna Jameson movie just because of the 3.
It is a Shannon Tweed movie.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Dan's just like, oh, yeah, I definitely know all Jenna James, the name of Jenna Jameson's movies.
I know a few of them.
All right, here's the next one. Hard Evidence.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going again, Mark.
Go ahead, yeah.
Again, I think that's a Tweed movie. I think
I would have said the same thing.
This is a Jenna Jameson movie.
Oh, okay.
That has to involve cops, I would imagine.
You want me to look that up?
No. I'm just thinking aloud.
Well, you know what? Give me a second. Let's see. That's a good question. It's a good add to this this segment.
Yeah.
I don't know why that popped up.
Or it's a women in prison porn.
All right. For some reason, Jenna Jameson is not popping up immediately. I'm spelling it right now. Yeah. What the fuck's going on, IMDb? Come on, get your shit together. All right. I'm gonna Jenna Jameson filmography. There we go. I don't know why I had to do that to get to her IMDb page, but what was this one? Hard Evidence. A lot of movies called Jenna Loves.
Oh, there's quite a few, I'm sure.
I've heard.
This is too hard to find.
Never mind.
I don't know why. Jesus fucking Christ. Get it together. She's got far too many movies, to be honest with you. That's part of the problem.
She probably has like over 200.
Okay, here's the next one. Human Desires.
These are good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say I don't think you'd go Jenna Jameson back to back. I'm gonna go Tweed again.
I would have said the same thing.
It is a Tweed movie.
Yeah. I thought you were you're a tricky guy, Ant.
All right, next one. Forbidden Sins.
Ooh, that sounds like a Jenna Jameson movie. This is a tough one. I don't know. You know, I'm gonna say Tweed again.
Oh, what was the name again? Yeah.
Forbidden Sins.
I'll go Jenna Jameson.
It is another Shannon Tweed film.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. All right, next one.
This is good.
Next one. Cover to Cover.
I think that's a Jenna Jameson movie. Yeah, I'm gonna go Jenna Jameson.
Okay, Mark.
I'll go Tweed.
This is a Jenna Jameson movie.
Oh.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I feel like Dan is getting a little uncomfortable about how many he's getting right.
I'm getting there. I haven't reached it yet. The next one, that'll be the one. All
right, next one.
Most of these are ones that I don't know. So when we get to one I do know, that's when it'll hit.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one. Hard Vice.
That's a Shannon Tweed movie. It's got to be.
Oh,
Mark.
I'll go Jameson because it's the sequel to Hard Evidence.
It is a Shannon Tweed movie.
Oh.
I think I've actually heard of that movie before.
Next one. Picture Perfect.
I'm gonna go Tweed. None of these sound like those ones. Don't sound like porn movies to me. So I'm gonna say Shannon Tweed.
Okay, Mark.
I'll go Tweed.
That's Jenna Jameson.
Wow,
that feel better about yourself, Dan?
A little bit because that doesn't sound dirty at all.
All right, next one. Elements of Desire.
I don't. Are you gonna double up on the Jenna Jameson with me? Yeah. You know what? I think you are. I got your pattern down. I think I'm gonna go Jenna Jameson.
Mark.
Yeah. Let me stick with that too. Let's go Jenna Jameson.
You're right, Jenna Jameson.
Still haven't landed on one I know, so I feel good.
Did you just watch the Jenna movies?
To be honest, I think there's only like 3 or 4 that I know by name. The rest are just there's a clip.
All right, next one. Illicit Dreams.
I'll be fair and go first because I thought that was Tweed right off the bat.
You think so?
For me, yes. I don't know.
So I'm gonna go Jenna Jameson.
Mark is right with Shannon Tweed.
Nice.
Illicit Dreams.
Yeah, that felt like a Skinamax movie.
That's a good call.
And I had one more. Dangerous Tides.
Ooh, this is a
that's Jenna Jameson. I've seen that.
damn it.
Sorry, we landed on the one that I knew.
I thought that would
happened.
be a good trick one.
Nope.
I didn't know it, but
Dangerous Tides.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a few times.
Now, Dan, is that a movie about her talking about what would happen if the moon gets out of place?
Yeah, she is a lecturer and talks about it. It's actually an apocalypse movie, and she's trying to convince the nation, the countries of the world, the moon is out of orbit. It's ruining the tides. Everyone should seek shelter. Yeah. Like, oh, what do you know? You're just a blonde bimbo. You don't know anything. But she knew.
Yeah, it's a prequel to Moonfall. Got it.
Yep, exactly. She tried to warn us. It's much simpler than that, though. It's like her on a yacht, just guys doing things with guys.
Fishing?
Yep, that's one of them.
Yeah, and that's my game. I went through a lot of different versions of this. Once it was Shannon Tweed movies or AVN film winners of best films of the year. They didn't have fun titles though.
Yeah, probably a lot of them are like oh, I'm not going to say it here. I'll say it off air.
But it was like the ones I pulled that could have been Shannon Tweed movies were like Fade to Black, Raw Talent, Bad Wives, Cry Wolf, and Night Trips.
Like Raw Talent, I feel like has probably crossed over.
Yeah. So they weren't super fun. And they also stopped giving Best Film Award as like 2005-ish.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Or they just like do Best Actor, Best Actress kind of thing.
I mean, they have a ton of different categories, but not Best Film.
I guess because no one really cares about that anymore.
I think that's what it was. Like, I don't know how many films nowadays are even made. I feel like a lot of them are just scenes.
Yeah. But it'll have like a snappy title to it, like, oh, so and so does the so and so.
Yeah,
like that's the scene. There's no other background needed.
I will say that Caden Cross, former adult film star, now film director, is just cleaning up Best Director category. It's like won 3 years in a row. So good for her.
Yeah, listen, she has an eye for talent.
I guess so. So that's what I learned in my my research of the AVN Awards today.
Research, quote unquote research.
Well, you can find all this on Wikipedia. So
yeah, I'm sure amongst other places as well.
Yes.
During Ant's research, like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll make a game out of this.
It was very tiring research.
I bet it was. Had to lay down for a little while.
Made sure I was hydrated.
Good idea. Had to clean up afterwards.
Yes.
Get rid of all the evidence.
But that's our episode, everybody. We finally did it. We watched a porn.
And it wasn't picked by Dan.
Right. I'm confident. I was confident enough to say that to my wife earlier. Like, oh, who picked that? Not me.
But yeah, I mean, there's no penetration, so it's not real porn.
Right. It's the fake stuff.
But that's it. Sins is Desire this week. Another Jim Wynorski film. Our third. Could be the most we've ever covered for a director. I think Stuart Gordon's up there.
Yeah, he gets Hall of Fame. TC Tam Hall of Fame.
I think in terms of directors, that's up there. I think it's him and Stuart Gordon, because I know we did Reanimator, Dolls, and the other one, From Beyond.
From Beyond, yep.
So he's got 3.
Yeah.
And then this year we'll induct Neil Breen into that pantheon as well.
Oh yeah.
Finally. the hallowed halls of TC Tam Hall of Fame.
Yep. So that is going to wrap us up this week. Check us out on our socials, TicTam Pod on Twitter and Instagram. They call this a movie on TikTok. If you have a movie to suggest, hit us up on any of those places, but also you can hit us up at tictampod@gmail.com. Great place to get in contact with us there as well. If you have time to give us a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice, please do that. It would help us out a great deal. And yeah, that's going to wrap us up. All the places you get a hold of us. And the director, Sins of a Desire, Jim Wynorski. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Delvecchio telling Jim Wynorski, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Called Us a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Called Us a Movie.